So today I'm going to give a small session on abstract members in Scala. So let's start. Yeah, okay, let's start. Okay, so let's start with a quick example. So we already know what abstract means, and so the thing is that when we give, when a trait is called or suppose a class is called abstract, then what happens is that we don't define what goes on inside that function or that variable. Okay, so like here you can see like def transform, like this one function, then there is one val called initial, and there's one variable, one a mutable variable current. So we've just defined them. Okay, like we have just declared them, we haven't defined them yet. Okay, so when we don't define them, we just only declare the names, so that's when we call it as abstract. So for a better definition is that the member of a class or a trait is abstract if a member does not have a complete definition in the class. So this what is called as abstract. So there's one new thing which we are seeing right now is a type T. Okay, so what is type T? So type T is actually called an abstract member. Okay, abstract member means we don't like define like what this member is actually. So there is a type T. So we'll just define it concretely in the next class which like extends this trait. Okay, like whichever class extends this trait, it will give a meaning or some type to this unknown type T. Okay, so how do we do that? So let's see that. Yeah, so there is a concrete definition of the abstract. Okay, so we are like extending the abstract trait that we had like declared here, and this what we have done. We have given a type of string to the type T. Okay, so and yeah, we have defined the function as well, and then we have like given a value to the initial and the current. Okay, so those are both string. So why can't we give it as number? So we can also like initialize like the initial to a number also, 1 2 3 4. Why haven't we done that? So the reason is that we have already like declared in the trait abstract that this all these return types should be, or all this type of this a variable are of the type T. So that's why all of them should be of the type string here, as you can see. So yeah, let's go. So these are called as type members. Okay, so this type E is called as type member. So let's see what is the definition here. So the term abstract type in Scala means a type declared with a type keyword. It is to be a member of a class or trait without specifying a definition. Okay, so what does it mean? Is that it's a type which does not have a definition. Okay, and this type actually resides in a class or trait. Okay, it only resides in a class or trait. So this is the some of the properties of the type, of the abstract type in Scala. So, but why do we need this? Okay, why should we like use it in the first place? So, the reason is that one of the reason is that to use a type member is to define a short descriptive alias. Okay, suppose the type or something which which we are defining the return type. Suppose it's very verbose, so as to to keep the like like to keep the meaning, and to keep the code clean, we can like use an alias so as to refer to a particular type. So that's how that's like one of the reasons why we use this. Okay, like for example, like we have like referred to the string with the type T. So that's how we can use it in the different classes which will be using the trait abstract. And the other reason is that suppose like we don't know. Okay, suppose we don't know that we have an abstract class or an abstract trait, but we don't know yet or like there is a multiple use of this like of this trade abstract, like there is a multiple use in different classes, and all of them like will be using it differently. Okay, so in that case also we'll not like refer a type in the trait. We'll just keep it as a general trait, or in abstract type. Okay, and we'll like define it later in the classes. So this is like another reason why we don't like define the type in the trait. Like when we like later define the classes, we'll like define what exactly is that trait. Okay, so yeah, abstract file. So you have already seen this, that there is an abstract file. Abstract file means we will not define what is inside that variable. So there is a class concrete which will be like defining what's inside it. Like it will give it a value, it will give it a like meaning. Okay, that the variable has a certain string in it. So that's how we concretize the definition of the abstract file. Now, yes, one like interesting example is that like the abstract file, suppose the file initial is very similar. Like you can, I think you can like connect the dots here. The thing is that it is like very similar to a def, I mean a function. Suppose def initial string without the definition, like the file initial string and the def initial string is like very similar, but the only thing is that the whatever is inside the def it can be mutated, but whatever inside the file initial string it cannot be mutated. So for example, that there is an abstract class called as fruit, and it has one a variable phi and a function m. Okay, so def m and one is fell phi. Okay, so in a class which is extending the fruit, so what happens is that we're using the fell v as it is. Okay, but the thing is that the fell m, it has changed the def m to fell m. Okay, and it is possible. Okay, you can sense the function into a very like a into a fell. Okay, but we cannot do it vice versa. Okay, so we cannot do this. Okay, this def v def m, like we cannot change a, change an immutable a variable into a function. Okay, so so like we are changing the the file v into a function. Okay, we're changing this file v into a function def v, so we cannot do that. So it will give an error when we like compile it, which is you cannot override a file with a def. Okay, so this one thing to keep in mind. And the other, so yeah, let's start with the abstract fairs. So abstract fairs, yes, you know it already, but let's revisit it again. So abstract fare is what happens is that in the trade abstract time, so the fair hour. So like we have a trade. So inside this, there are like two variables, which are mutable variables, which is hour and a minute. Okay. So mutable means it can be changed. Now, so like what happens under the hood? Okay. What happens? Like whenever I try to change it, what happens? And whenever I try to get the value, what happens? Okay. So this is what happens inside, I mean implicitly or like under the hood. Okay, so def hour int. Okay, this actually there are two functions called as the getter and the setter. Okay, so every variable gets a getter and a setter function. Okay, they get the getter and setter function which does the work for them. Okay, whenever we want to get a value, suppose I want to get the value hour from the trait. Okay, so I will be using the getter function, but I will not call the getter function. Okay, so like whenever I try to like access it, like the getter function will be called implicitly. Okay, and for the setter, like suppose I want to like change the value of hour. Okay, so I will like give it a value. Okay, like def hour dash. Okay, you can see the dash. So it means setter. Like I am setting the. I mean, I'm like changing the value of hour. So like it will be something like hour dash equal to 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. Okay, so this is the setter method for the variables, for the immutable variables, and for the for the mutable variables. Sorry, my mistake. So, and for the immutable variables, there is only a getter method. There is no setter method. And for the mutable variables, there is both getter and setter method. Now, how to initialize the abstract fields? So, let's see. So, to initialize it, so we have given a trait, which is a relational trait, and like there are like two variables. One is numerarch, and the other is the denom_arch. Now, yeah. So, how to initialize is that? So, in the next part, you have seen, you can see that there's a new rational trait. Okay, so what does it mean? So we have like initialized. Okay, we have like initialized an instance of anonymous class here. There's no name of this class, you can see. So this is an instance of an anonymous class. So because it does not have a name, like there's not a particular name to it, like we can call it an instance of an anonymous class. Okay, so this is a class we have like defined right now, and we have like initialized the variables numerarch and denomrarch with 1 and 2 here. Is it, like this definition is same as this. Okay, new rational 1 2 is exactly same as this one. Like we are like trying to elaborate this new rational 1 2 with this. I mean, it is like it is very similar to this. Okay, new rational 1 2 and new rational trade fell numeric equal to 1, fell denominator equal to 2. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it should be actually a new rational trade. Okay, this part should be a new rational trade. Okay, so this is what we are doing. So we have like initialized the variables of the trade with 1 and 2. Okay. Now, like there's a so let me talk to you about a small difference. Okay, so what happens internally, and this small difference actually led to a lot of concepts. Okay, so the first thing is that like when we like initialize a class, suppose this class, suppose this class rational. Okay, suppose the name is rational. Okay, this like trade rational, and we are like initializing a new class rational. So new rational expression 1 comma expression 2, like these are like two arguments like which will be like which will turn into values which will initialize these two variables. Okay, so this new rational expression 1 expression 2. Okay, this is a new class I'm or sorry, an instance of a class that I'm trying to create. Okay, so what happens is that here, whenever I try to initialize a new class, this expression 1 and this expression 2 will be initialized first. Okay, whenever I try to initialize an instance of a new class, this expression 1 and expression 2 will be initialized first. Okay, so this part, let's keep it uh, away for some time, and let's look at the second part, which is a different case. Okay, in this case, suppose there's a trait and there's a class. Okay, and suppose this is the trait, rational trait. Okay, this is a rational trait. Okay, and this is a class, like we are like defining a new class, new rational trait. Okay, now this rational trait is using new rational trait. We are like creating an instance of a anonymous class here. Okay, so whenever this is created, okay, whenever this new rational trait or this class is initialized, okay, sorry, and whenever this instance of class is initialized, what happens is that firstly this trait rational trait will be initialized. Okay, this will be initialized, but not this numerarch and the denomrarch. Okay, this numerarch and the denomrarch will not be initialized. Only it will like it will come to know that there is a trait I'm using that trait. It will know only this. Okay, like there is a trait and I'm using that trait, and it will not initialize this numerarch and the denomrarch. So what happens is just after initialization of after initialization of the trait, then only the initialization of this class will happen, and only with the initialization of the class these two variables will be initialized with expression 1 and expression 2. Okay, it might like seem a little muddy, so let me let me discuss it again. So what happens is that this expression 1 and expression 2, like whatever value we keep in expression 1 and this expression 2, suppose I give a value of 1 and here I give a value of 2. Okay, so in this trait, like whatever is the variable in this trait, this will not be initialized by 1 and 2 at first. Firstly, this trait will be initialized with only 0. I mean, like it will only get the default values of 0 only. Okay, this will not be initialized with these two values. Okay, like suppose I create this new class. When I create this new class, new rational trait, and it is like it is an instance of an anonymous class. Okay, and I'm using this trait to create this class. Okay, and I'm using this trait to create this class. So whenever this class is initialized, this trait will be initialized first. Okay, this trait will be initialized first, and this trait will not get the values of expression 1 or expression 2 or 1 and 2, for example 1 and 2. Okay, this will not get these values first. It will be initialized with only 0, which is the default. Okay, it will be initialized with only 0. Later, after this trait is initialized, after that only this class will be initialized, new rational trait equal to expression 1 and expression 2 or 1 and 2. Okay, after the trait the class will be initialized with 1 and 2. Okay, so what problem will you face? Okay, firstly the trait is initialized, and then after this class is initialized. Okay, so what problems do we face in a so let me talk to you about a scenario. Okay, what will happen? So this is a small trait called a rational trait, which actually gives us a numerator by which actually gives us a like a numerator by denominator definition. Okay, like sorry, not definition. It will give us an output of a numerator by denominator. Okay, so yeah, whenever you give it two numbers, so it will give us the lowest value of numerator by denom. It will give us the lowest value of numerator by denom. Okay, the this is the the meaning of this trait or the life of this trait. Okay, this is what it will do in this lifetime. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so it is better if I just like run it hands on. Okay, so I think this is it. Yeah, this is it actually. Okay, so define this trait, rational trait. Okay, now let's give it a file x equal to 2. File x equal to 2. We're just defining a variable, and then we'll use this variable in the next defining of the class definition. Okay. We're just creating an instance of a class or an anonymous class, new rational trait. Sorry. New rational trait. Okay, so what we have, fair numerar equal to one x two x. This is that. Okay, so let's close the process. Yeah, so we have gotten error. Okay, so it is showing the requirement failed. So why we are getting that requirement? So let's see what wrong we are doing. So normally, like if we like compile, I think like we'll think that it should be all right. Like why is it happening? Okay, so let's see why it's happening. So the thing is that the trait is initialized first. Whenever we create this new class or this instance of a class, the trait is initialized first with a value 0. It will be initialized first with a value 0. It will not it will not get the values of 1 and 2 that we are passing here. we are passing here, sorry, we are like passing here 1 and 2, okay, sorry, not 1 and 2, it will be 2 and 4, right? 1 into 1 into 2 2 and 2 into 2 4, okay. So we'll be passing it 2 and 4, but this 2 and 4 will not reach those variables because they are initializing the trait first, and the trait is initialized with what? The trait is initialized with 0. Okay, where is the trait? Yeah, the trait is initialized with 0. Okay, it is initialized with default value 0. These 2 and 4 are not reaching here. It will like the 2 and 4, like whatever is inside the class, it will come later on, okay, after the trait is finished initializing. So what happens is that there is a required condition here, which is deno mark not equal to 0. So it is failing that condition. Okay, it is failing that condition that the deno mark is not 0. It is actually 0 because the default value of whatever the integers we initialize in Scala is like made to 0. So that is what is happening. Okay, so this is a problem. Okay, this is a problem. So how do we solve this? Okay, so there are actually two ways to solve this. So the first way is called as pre-initializers. Okay, but let me tell you before discussing pre-initializers is that this is deprecated now. So we're just discussing it because it is still not banned yet. So let's discuss what happens. So we are like we just have to change change the syntax a bit. Okay, so we are using these pre-initializers. So what does it mean? Okay, like w- like how does it work? Okay, so it will be the exact thing only. The first it will be rational trait. So it will not be new rational trait. It will be only new. Then it will be L numeral x. Then it will be twice x, and here is the change. Okay, we just have to add this one with rational trait. Okay, with rational trait. Okay, yeah, it's working, but there's a warning that it is deprecated. Okay, so what happens is that so let me tell you what happens. Okay, okay, sorry for that. So what happens is that here with rational trait, so we're creating this new class. We're giving the value early on. Okay, see, fell numerar and fell denomer, like fell numerar equal to 1 into x and fell denomer equal to 2 into x. We're like giving the values early. Like fell numerar is already defined here. Okay, like it has not got the chance to call this rational trait. See, earlier what we did, new rational trait. When we say new rational trait, it will directly go to the rational trait. Okay, and when it goes to the rational trait, what like when he goes to the rational trait, what it sees that numerator and denominator is 0. It it does not get a chance to like initialize it. Like what we are doing here is that we are pre-initializing the values. Okay, we are pre-initializing the values. Like we are giving the value of 2 and 4 beforehand. Like why am I calling 2? Because x equal to 2, 1 into 2 2 into 2 4. So we are giving the 2 and 4 beforehand, and then we are writing with rational trait. So after getting these values, it is going to rational trait. So when it goes to the rational trait, it will get the values of 2 and 4 because it has already declared that this is 2 and this is 4. So when it gets when it gets 2 and 4, like it passes the required condition and all the trait works fine. So this is what is happening here. Okay, there is another solution which is lazy else. Okay, so what does lazy val do? So the concept is very interesting. So
Before we go to lazy wells,
yes, sir.
why do we need a abstract value?
Yes, sir. Uh, okay, so as far as I know, um, so the abstract file is needed. So when we like don't know, like in a trait, so when you don't know like what will what will be the definition of this class, or like what will be the definition, or like what will go into this value. Okay, so like it will be like a blueprint for all the classes to come. So in that cases, we can use the abstract files. Like whichever classes will be extending that trait, so like it will be like a blueprint that like these would be the variables and these would be the functions. So in that case, we can use the abstract files and functions.
Okay.
Is that- okay, so the lazy files, so like in the lazy files, what we are doing is that okay, so it will be better if I go through the code, but the code will take too much time. So let's just discuss it through the slide only. So we are like defining an object demo. Okay. So this is file x equal to print line initializing x and then done. Okay. So you can see this semicolon here. So what happens is that it will like print line. So like it will print a line called initializing x. Then it will store this value done or the string done into x. Okay. So this is the I mean the meaning or the meaning of life for this object demo. Okay, so this is what it will do in its lifetime. Okay. Okay, so like when we call the demo, so when we normally create an object and when we when we like call this object demo, so it will it will like initialize the object demo. It will also initialize whatever is inside the demo. Okay, it will initialize the object demo, like there's an object demo, like we know that there's an object demo, and then it will also like initialize whatever is inside the demo as well. So it is like initializing the x, so it is print line initializing x, so it is like printing this initializing x, and it is storing this done into x. Okay, like it is like initialized x and like whatever is inside the demo. Okay, so whenever we call this demo.x, it will show us that it has the string called as done. Now, how does lazyfill make a difference here? Suppose I create this object demo again. So we're like changing the life purpose of demo here. Okay, so the lazyfill x, what it will do is that it will do the same things, print like a printing line, which is like initializing x and then storing done into x. Okay. Now what happens is when we call demo, it will only initialize demo. Okay, there is an object demo. Like there's an object demo. Like do like keep memory for it or something like that. Like we are like telling it that there's an object demo. Okay, so yeah, so there's an object demo. It is not doing anything to whatever is inside the object demo. Okay, it has not initialized x yet. It has not initialized x yet. Like as you can see, the initializing x string is not yet called here. Okay, no, sorry, it is not yet printed here. So we can say that the x is not initialized there. But when we like call this x, the demo.x, give me demo.x. So what it will do is that it will print initializing x, and it will say like it will show the value inside x, which is done. So only when I call it, it will come out. Like if you don't call whatever inside the demo, uh, like if you don't call x, nothing will happen to x. Like it will not be initialized. Only when you call it, it will be initialized. Okay, so this is the function of lazy files. Only when you want to use it, it will be initialized. Okay, so yeah, so this is the quality of the lazy file actually. And so the thing is that the lazy file is it also helps us to like keep the store like the it also helps us to make the work faster and also save some memory. So how it saves the memory? So the thing is that So I can say that it saves the memory. What it does is that it will store the lazyval value like whenever it is first executed. Okay, whenever this is first executed like demo.x, it will store this value. Okay, it will store this value. So what it is saying that in fact after the first evaluation of a lazyval, the result of the evaluation is stored to be reused when the same value is used subsequently. Like whenever this demo.x will be called later in time, so it will not run this function again. Okay, like sorry, it will not run this object again. Like it will not go into it. Okay, it will just give it the value it has stored and just show it to us that this is the value. So it will just work only once. Like it will only initialize any variable only once. See, unlike a def, a lazyval is never evaluated more than once. It will only evaluate only once and it will store it. So how we will use it here? So it's very simple actually. So okay, so it's actually a very simple computation. So I will not use the IntelliJ here. So this is the entire program that I like ran a few hours ago. So you can say that. So like you can see that we have like changed a few things. Like we have given the variable numer and denom. We have like used the lazy keyword here, lazyval numer, lazyval denom, and we have also 1 second. Yeah, we have like changed it to lazy. Okay, and yes, we have also changed this private lazyval z. Okay, private lazyval z equal to this. Okay, which was not there earlier. Now, when I call Felix equal to 2, I'm just defining a variable and I'm using the same thing, new, like I am like creating an instance of a class. So, fel numeric equal 1 into x and fel denomer 2 into x, which means I'm passing 2 and 4 into numerator and denominator. Now it's working totally fine. So, how it's working? Even in this, like even in this case also, trait is being called first. Okay, so let me in this case also trait is being called first and class is being called second. So why it is not showing any error? Why it is not showing any error? So let me. So earlier it was not okay to declare traits whose values are not initialized yet. Okay, that's not okay because it will check like whenever we like initialize something with lazy, what happens is that even if the value is not initialized, like even if that value is not initialized yet, even if that value is 0 or something, it's okay. Okay, but when you will do this normally with a normal fails and fares, it will throw an error. But whenever we do this with lazyvals, it's okay. So whenever there's something which value has not yet come, or like it will take some time to process, and like like it may take some time, and it will like the value will be received after some computation. We can keep this value as lazy value. Okay, so as to like escape this error. So this is the use of lazyval and it saves us from that error. Okay, so yeah, this is all that I had for today. Hope you understood it and enjoyed it.